We're going to talk about moving some clips onto this screen with Ryan. And we're going to bring in a product shot and have it in a certain location in a certain size when he hits on a keyword. Right now I have my playhead approximately at 33 seconds, 13 frames, and this is where he's going to say a specific phrase or word, and that's I'm going to mark that place so I know that's where I want my animation to end, or the motion clip to be on the screen in the right position at that time. So I'm going to back this up a little bit, and I'm going to pause it where he says the phrase I want to get to.
Why should you choose Cherrydale? Well, there's a number of reasons. Let me just tell you a few. First, how about the amazing variety of products that we have?
So, amazing products that we have. Now, here's something I didn't show you in class. With the timeline selected and the playheads right where I want this object to be on the screen, I'm going to hit the letter M. M as in marker. Just the letter N. No other keys, just M. And that's going to put a marker here on my timeline. So I'm going to use that as a reference. And that's just going to let me know this is where I want that animation to end. Now, the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find the clip or the graphic I want to have come on the screen. So I'm going to double click on Cookie Jar, and this is the graphic. I'm looking at this, and we have a cookie plate. I'm going to try the Cookie Jar. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to drag this by pressing and holding on the image from the source window, and I'm just going to drag it down here, and I'm going to snap it to wherever that playhead is at. So now what I'm going to do next is I need to resize this and reposition it. So what we can do is we can take our mouse, put our arrow directly over this image, and double click. What this is going to do is going to turn on these handles that allow me to resize, and it also allows me to reposition. So I'm going to say I'd like to have this over here, and I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to come up to the upper left hand corner, and I'm going to scale it down. Now it does scale down in the center, so you may have to relocate where you want it. Now I'm cheating a little bit. I'm actually going to line this right edge of this graphic up, or this object up, with this rectangle side right here. This is what's called a action safe marker line, but I'm going to use it as a reference for my right edge of my product. I've got my product where I want to. I've got my product sized. I've got my playhead where I want this to be on the screen at this time. So my next step with this still selected is just to come over on this side and click the effects control in the upper left. Now I need to mark or tell Premiere, remember the position at this point and remember the scale at this point, because that's the two items I want to control. So I'm going to click on the stopwatch here in front of position to add a keyframe. I'm going to come over here on the scale. I'm going to click on the stopwatch and add a keyframe. Now there's two little triangles here, half of them. These are keyframes, and those are just marking these parameters at this time in the sequence. Now here's what we're going to do. I want this actually to move on to the screen, so I'm going to come back down to my timeline here, and I'm going to, in fact, I won't even go to the timeline. I'm going to come to the timeline. I'm going to move my playhead back. Now notice it says 3313. I'm going to say I want to take 3 seconds to bring this image in. So I'm going to move this back, the playhead, to about 3013. And I'm going to hit my right and left arrow keys, and I'll come right to that frame. So now, how do I mark that I want this graphic to be off screen? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down on the image in the timeline. I'm going to get my red bracket facing arrow to the right. I'm going to press, I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to extend the time that this plays back to that location. Got two more things to do. I'm going to go up now and double click on this cookie jar, and then just to help you out, I'm going to come down and change my view or my zoom level. I'm going to bring it down to 25%. This way I clearly have some space over here on the right where I can see where I can move this. So now I'm going to press on this and I'm going to drag it over here. And what you see, that connection between those 2 points, that's called a motion path. And I'm just going to pull it over here so it's just off the edge of the canvas or the screen here. And as soon as I let up, over here in the middle upper, it has now added 2 keyframes denoting the new position and the new scale at this time. So really at this point it's all done. I'm just going to move my playhead back a little bit. I'm going to change my view. Maybe we'll bring it back to fit. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play it.
For reasons. Let me just tell you a few. First, how about the amazing variety of products that we have? Are you looking for a gift brochure fundraiser? We have several different gift brochures.
Spacebar to pause. So, yes, there's like 5 or 6 steps you have to follow, but they're not too bad once you do a couple of them. How about we do it one more time? I'm going to play the video again and find another location where I want to bring in another maybe shot. By the way, before I leave this, if you want to have that image stay up on the screen a certain amount of time, you can play it.
The amazing variety of products that we have. Are you looking
1001,
for a gift brochure fundraiser?
1002,
We have
1003.
several different gift brochures that you can choose from.
Now we'll say we want to go off when he says from, so I paused it. I'm going to extend the playback of that image of the cookie jar, and I'm going to extend it over here to the actual playhead location. So it's going to come on the screen, it's going to stay on for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then I'm going to have it just go off by cutting away from the screen. So let's do this. Let's play the playhead.
That have several hundred items in there, prices that are an amazing price range and value, good things that you'll see here, the gift wrap that we have.
Okay, let me see if I go back here, and I'm going to play it till he says gift wrap.
And value, good things that you'll see here, the gift wrap that we have inside of our brochures, a lot of great things in there.
I'm going to stop it right here where he says there instead of the gift wrap. So now he's going to start talking about something else. Let's see what it is.
How about a food program?
How about a food program? So now what we'll do with the playhead here, I'm going to again remind you, I'm going to hit an M key to put a marker. That just helps me remember where, in case I accidentally move the playhead, I know that's where I want this to have that motion clip on the screen in its right place. I know I can pull my playhead back to that in case I accidentally move it. So we put a marker, the playhead's where we want. We need to go find the product. I'm going to double click on a cookie plate. I'm going to drag this over here. We'll say I put it in the same track, in this case V2. I'm going to pull it over to the left side snaps to where the playhead is at. The next step is take my mouse, go up on the screen, put it over the cookie plate object, double click, scale it down, move it over, and this is where I want it to be. I want it to be in this position, at this time, at this size. So now what I do is I go over to the effects control. I click the stopwatch for position, for scale. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to pull my playback head back the amount of time I want it to approximately take for it to come on the screen. Let's say 2 seconds. So right now it's at 52:25. Let me move that back to approximately 50:25. And again, you can hit the right and left cursor arrow keys to move a frame at a time. So this is my new time where I want the animation to start. I need to now come down on the timeline and bring back the left edge of this little object, the cookie plate. And I'm just going to snap it back to where the playhead is at. Now what I can do, I can go up here, double click, and get a hold of the handles for this. I can change my view down a little bit, and this time I'm going to have this come in from the bottom. There we go. Automatically, Premiere puts a keyframe in because we moved the playhead and then we changed the parameters for position and scale. It automatically put in a keyframe to make this motion work. So I'm going to back it up a little bit. I'll change my view so you can see it, and I'm going to press 100%.
The gift wrap that we have inside of our brochures, a lot of great things in there. How about a food program, cookie dough program, Gourmet Foods, Otis Spunkmeyer cookie dough, David's cookie dough, Krista's Gourmet.
Okay, now let me pause this. Let's listen to where he's talking about this, and let's determine when we want it to go off the screen or fade off or disappear from the screen.
In there. How about a food program, cookie dough program, Gourmet Foods.
We'll say at Foods we want it to be gone. So I've got my playhead where I want it to be gone. I'm just going to pull the right edge of the clip over to mark it and snap it to the playhead.
Wrap that we have inside of our brochures, a lot of great things in there. How about a food program, cookie dough program, Gourmet Foods, Otis Spunkmeyer cookie dough, David's cookie dough.
Okay, so I hope that helps you understand how to get an object to move on screen and then meet a certain timing and position. One last thing I will show you is I'm going to put my playhead over this clip of this cookie plate, and I'm going to show you and remind you that you can add a dissolve or a transition to make this cookie plate fade off. So not to confuse you, I'm going to go over here on the panels on the lower left. I'm going to go to the effects panel. I'm going to find my video transition. I'm going to find dissolve, and I'm going to find dip to black. And I'm just going to put this on the end of this, not the beginning because it's going to be off screen. Let me zoom here a little bit so you can see this. So I just put the transition on the end.
In there. How about a food program, cookie dough program, Gourmet Foods, Otis Spunkmeyer cookie dough, David's.
Whoops. You know what? I don't think the dip to black was what I wanted. So let's replace that with a good old-fashioned cross dissolve. I didn't like that black flash in the middle of it, so let's try again. I replaced that with a cross dissolve.
In there. How about a food program, cookie dough program, Gourmet Foods, Otis Spunkmeyer cookie dough.
So that's a little extra teaser or trick you could put by just putting a cross dissolve at the end of it and then letting it fade off. So just to do that one more time on the previous, I'm going to take the cross dissolve. Remember, I'm only going to put it on the end because that's the only place I'm going to see it, because it'll be off screen when it fades on. So I don't really need to put it at the beginning.
Gift brochures that you can choose from that have several hundred items in there.
Okay, I'm going to stop. Thanks for watching, and let's move on to another topic in a second.